Black Templars. The Second Founding wasn't just a post-heresy reorganization, it gave rise to some of the most powerful and unique chapters in the Imperium. Among them, none would grow larger or more relentless than the Black Templars, rivaling the first founding chapters in strength and influence. Their story begins with Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, who resisted the division of his legion after the heresy. To prove his loyalty, he agreed to the split, and from the most zealous warriors of the Imperial Fists, the Black Templars were born. Their first High Marshal was Sigismund, the Emperor's champion, and under his command they launched a crusade that has never ended, carrying on the heritage of the original Great Crusade. The Black Templars have no homeworld, they don't follow the Codex Astartes, and have no fixed number of Marines thanks to their crusading privileges. Instead, they operate in massive crusade fleets led by marshals, broken down into fighting companies under castellans. They wear black and white power armor with red details, enriched with purity seals and crusader imagery. Many also wrap chains around their arms, symbolizing that they will not release their weapons until the battle is over. Their current chapter master or high marshal is Helbrecht, who continues to lead the eternal crusade across the galaxy. Unlike most chapters, the Black Templars worship the Emperor as a god. Their entire culture reflects that fanaticism. They build chapter keeps on worlds they conquer, and each battle brother is trained as a knight fueled by faith and vengeance. Their forces can implement most of the standard Space Marine tactics, and they are devastating in close combat through their melee skills and the use of melta weapons. Raptors. The Raptors are a successor of the Raven Guard and one of the most pragmatic Space Marine chapters in the Imperium. They've taken part in major campaigns like the Badab War, the Third War for Armageddon, and the Taros campaign, and their approach to warfare sets them apart from almost every other chapter. Where other Astartes might value honor and glory, the Raptors care about one thing: winning. They focus on precision, stealth, and survival over theatrics, and they've embraced the brutal reality of war. Their armor is drab green with minimal silver trims, and they often employ camouflage. Their tactics are centered around hit-and-run strikes, ambushes, and carefully planned engagements designed to destroy the enemy with minimal losses. Because of this mindset, the Raptors make extensive use of scout marines, land speeders, and sniper tactics. Their companies often operate independently across entire war zones, gathering intel, deploying misdirection, and taking out key targets before disappearing. When the Raptors attack, it's not about spectacle, it's about ending the fight as efficiently as possible. They also reject blind obedience to the Codex Astartes. While they follow its structure broadly, they treat it as a guideline. Flexibility, adaptability, and independent thinking are core values for the chapter. Their current chapter master, Lias Isodon, is a master strategist and an extremely precise marksman. He's so reserved and quiet that even his own men call him the Grim. The Raptors' attitude has kept them alive through multiple near extinctions. While more rigid chapters might have fallen, the Raptors adapted and thrived. They don't care if history remembers them as heroes. All that matters is completing their mission. Excoriators, a second founding chapter of the Imperial Fists, created to guard the region surrounding the Eye of Terror as part of the Astartes Praeses. Based on the fortress world of Ishkara in the Segmentum Obscurus, their role has always been high risk, holding the line against demonic incursions and warbands pouring from the warp. They're technically Codex compliant, but with a lot of personality layered over the standard structure. The chapter uses its own titles for ranks such as Chapter Scourge for the Chapter Champion, or Chief Whip for veteran sergeants. These titles reflect a culture built around endurance, ritual pain, and grim defiance. In fact, their doctrine revolves around attrition warfare, maximum damage to the enemy, minimal loss to themselves. They win by surviving. Every warrior is trained to outlast the horror and still be standing at the end. That philosophy is even reflected in their appearance. The Excoriators wear white power armor with silver trim, but much of it is scarred, pitted, and burned. They deliberately don't repair cosmetic battle damage. Instead, they carve the date, location, and weapon type of each strike into the armor itself. The result is a force of grizzled, battered veterans who look like they've already survived hell. Their current chapter master is Zachariah Kirsch, a former Chapter Scourge and 5th Company commander. He was the sole survivor of the slaughter at Syrtis Minor, where the Legion of the Damned intervened to halt a massive Cornate assault. After his predecessor succumbed to Alpha Legion toxins, Kirsch took command, bringing with him first-hand knowledge of just how much the chapter can endure. Flesh Terrors. They are the most infamous second founding successors of the Blood Angels, as they are extremely susceptible to the flaws of Sanguinius Gene Seed, the Red Thirst, and the Black Rage. Their homeworld of Cretacia is a savage death world covered in jungles and massive reptilian beasts. It breeds survivors, and the Flesh Terrors reflect that brutality. Their armor is maroon and black, and their preferred strategy is simple: close the distance and kill everything. Their doctrine is dominated by assault tactics, and even tactical squads rarely carry heavy weapons. The chapter has suffered from repeated near extinction, and at one point fielded only 4 full companies. To compensate, Flesh Terrors underwent constant cross-training, with each Marine able to function as assault, tactical, or devastator, though in practice, melee remains their default approach. They rarely fight alongside allies, and when they do, the results can be horrifying. Many Imperial forces have been saved by the Flesh Terrors, only to be massacred once the killing rage takes over. Their chapter master, Gabriel Seth, is known as the Guardian of Rage and has kept the chapter from destruction more than once, most notably during their trial before the Carmine Court, where they were nearly disbanded for heresy. The Indomitus Crusade brought new hope with a wave of Primaris reinforcements. These new warriors may be more stable, but time will tell if the flaw can truly be contained. Grey Knights. The Grey Knights are the most secretive of all the Space Marine chapters, and easily the most unique. While considered part of the Second Founding, the Grey Knights project was begun during the Horus Heresy itself by the Emperor and Malcador the Sigillite using gene seed crafted directly from the Emperor's own genome. They were designed from the start as a force to combat the forces of chaos and never fall to them. Every Grey Knight is a psyker, trained to resist possession and corruption. It is said that in over 10,000 years, none have ever turned traitor. They serve as the chamber militant of the Ordo Malleus, the Inquisition's demon-hunting arm, and operate far outside the knowledge of the wider Imperium. Most Imperial citizens don't even know they exist, and if they do, they are at great risk of being eliminated to protect the secrets of the Order. Instead of Codex-compliant companies, the Grey Knights are organized into brotherhoods, each led by a brother captain and overseen by Grand Masters, all under the command of the Supreme Grand Master. Their fortress monastery is hidden on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, and the precise location is heavily protected and kept secret. They wear silver Aegis armor engraved with protective wards, and many Marines bear personal heraldry featuring swords, skulls, and the chapter's red, black, and white iconography. They are deployed rarely, but when it comes to fighting chaos, there can be no comparison between the Grey Knights and standard Space Marines. Mortifactors. The Mortifactors are a successor of the Ultramarines, but you'd never guess it from their appearance or customs. Recruited from the bleak death world of Posol, where the sun never rises and the people survive through constant tribal warfare and ritual cannibalism, the Mortifactors bring a brutal, death-obsessed mindset to every battlefield. Their fortress monastery is the Basilica Mortis. Inside, the halls are lined with the bones of their own honored dead, while enemy skulls decorate the chapels. They're codex-compliant in structure, but culturally, they stand apart, practicing funerary rites and painting their armor with skeletal war paint. Before battle, Mortifactors would enter a trance-like state to simulate death, believing it allows them to commune with their ancestors and the ultimate warrior, a spiritual interpretation of the Emperor. After battle, they conduct gruesome rituals, drinking the blood, consuming the flesh, and collecting the skulls of their enemies. Outsiders often see this as borderline heretical, but the Mortifactors remain loyal, and fiercely so. Their neophytes must survive brutal trials, claim their first kill, and present its skull to earn a name. Until then, they are known only as Faceless. Crimson Fists, a second founding successor of the Imperial Fists, known for their endurance and legendary resilience. Their homeworld, Rin's world, was nearly lost in an orc invasion, which saw their fortress monastery destroyed and the chapter reduced to a handful of survivors. But the Crimson Fists refused to break, and they became a symbol of defiance across the Imperium. The chapter wears deep blue armor with a single crimson gauntlet, a nod to an old Imperial Fist tradition of sharing blood during initiation. Upon reaching veteran rank, a Crimson Fist will receive the honor of bearing a red gauntlet on each hand. Their current chapter master is Pedro Cantor, who has led them through their darkest hours with tactical discipline and unwavering resolve. Originally a fleet-based force, the Crimson Fists became the primary defenders of the Loki sector, a region plagued by constant orc activity. Over centuries of brutal warfare, they've become some of the Imperium's most capable Xenos fighters, and many Crimson Fists have served in the elite ranks of the Death Watch. They adhere closely to the Codex Astartes, but their near extinction forced them to adapt. With their limited ranks, the chapter shifted from traditional engagements to infiltration and guerrilla tactics, striking only when and where it counts. With the arrival of the Indomitus Crusade and the reinforcement of Primaris Space Marines, the chapter has begun to rebuild. Now, the Crimson Fists fight not only to protect the Imperium, but to secure a future for their chapter. Wolf Brothers. The Wolf Brothers were the only second founding chapter created from the gene seed of the Space Wolves, and they were intended to be the first of many. Based on the ice-covered world of Cariol, they were given half of the Legion's resources, ships, and priests. They were tasked with building a new legacy for Leman Russ in the Age of the Imperium. But that dream didn't last. The chapter suffered extreme genetic instability, likely due to the Canis helix, the mutation-prone DNA that grants the space wolves their feral traits. Unlike their parent chapter, the Wolf Brothers lacked the cultural and ritual infrastructure to manage the curse. And without Fenris or the support of the original Legion, the Wolfen gene ran wild. Abominations and uncontrolled transformations became common, and the Inquisition stepped in. The chapter was disbanded, most gene seed was destroyed, and the surviving Astartes had to face their execution or flee. Out of the Wolf Brothers that went rogue, some fell to chaos, joining the Thousand Sons, their parent Legion's oldest enemies, or minor warbands like the Red Corsairs. Thanks for watching until the end. Click here to check out another video and see you in the next one.